I've had a particularly fascinating life. Would you like to hear about it? You would.
Wake up every morning, my first thought is, what part of me is not working today?
Hi everybody, welcome to the channel. This is that retired guy who's lived through the 60s twice, but I'm still having fun. I retired last year, but almost immediately had some unexpected rotator cuff surgery. But it's completely healed now. I'm back playing hockey and doing other things, and we're moving ahead. Now, the videos I put out may seem like they're mostly aimed at boomers, but that's not the case. Only some of them are when we're dealing with retirement. The rest, we're going to go over a lot of issues of interests like travel, certain fitness items, and so on. They'll be of interest to Gen Z and every gen in between. So thanks for watching, and let's go forward. At this point, I should probably tell you a little bit about my journey, but I'm not going to do that. Reason being is I think journey is the most overused word in the language right now. Seems like everybody's got a journey. You're on a journey to make your lunch. I saw where Miss USA resigned, and I think she used the word journey 3 times in one sentence. So from now on, you're not going to hear journey from me. You know what? I don't even call Journey by their name anymore. Sorry guys. I always got you mixed up with Supertramp anyway. In any case, we'll talk about life experiences and things like that. But if you ever hear me say Journey in my upcoming videos, let me know in the comments and you'll win a fantastic no prize. No questions asked. So how did I get to this point? By the way, I'm going to talk a little bit about my background.
I've had a particularly fascinating life. Would you like to hear about it? You would.
Okay, so as fascinating as that was, let's get back on point. It's Monday morning, first day of retirement. Where do you go from here? In my case, by the way, my wife is younger than me and is still working. She still prefers that. It probably works out in the long run because she's always said to me when this time came, I married you for better or for worse, but not for lunch. You do need some time away from each other. So we're able to navigate pretty good. Your situation with your partner may be different, but a lot of things I'll talk about will pertain to both of us, no matter what that situation is. By the way, this isn't about retirement goals, meaning your financial goals to be able to retire.
No goals.
We're past that point. You're here. And so this also isn't about retirement goals, what you're going to do to make retirement work, so to speak.
No goals.
You know, whether you're going to have a second career, whether you're going to take the time to invent a vaccine for toe fungus. This is just about some of the things you can do day to day, the things that affect you, and you can make your own choices as you go, but things you may not have thought of along the way. I've run into plenty of them over the past year, and that's why, you know, I've been told not to film outside. There may be bugs, there may be noise, the cicadas are just starting out. A lot of things can happen, but it's a gorgeous day, so thanks for joining me. Let's do it outside. What do you think? Now, when you think about all the things you can do during this free time, this video can't hold them. I'll have many other videos about that. But we'll talk about a few of the basic things from day one on that worked for me, just made things a little bit easier and a little bit more fun. I kind of liken it to vacation, except it's not all inclusive. There's not that much sightseeing because you live here, and there's not a beach down the street. Well, you may have a beach down the street, but there's not somebody waiting on you all the time down there.
Feeling good, Louis?
Well, there might be somebody waiting on you all the time, so if there is, why are you watching this video? So one thing to remember is, work is done. Isn't that great? And the one thing you can do from now on is a whole lot of nothing. You've worked all your life to be able to get to a point to do nothing. And remember, nothing is a choice. If you're typing out a password and you put in a space is a character. You know, it's a choice. And that's the same way with nothing. That can be right in the middle of your day and you're okay. Now that's not being lazy. That's just realizing that you've earned it and you can do nothing whenever you want. But I get it, you can't do nothing all the time. So I've got a few things here that will just be time stretchers. Something to do on that first day and then see how the second, third, and so on days go. Again, if you've got everything planned out, good for you. I didn't. I was happy just to get there and see where I was going to go. It's almost a year later, and I'm doing okay. Now, the first piece of advice I'd have is to slow down. It sounds funny, but you can move things down to half speed or at least a slower speed. You don't have an alarm clock to pop up to.
Then put your little hand in mine. There ain't no hill or mountain.
You don't have an entire day of decisions waiting for you, so maybe lay in bed just a little bit more. Your sleep habits may or may not change. We are creatures of habit, but still, there's nothing rushing you to hit the ground running right then. So enjoy it. So when you do finally get out of bed, take a moment to appreciate the situation and the feeling. I kid you not. This is the first day of your retirement. Work is done. The things that are coming up, for the most part, are a lot of your own making. And it's quite a feeling. You can plan and plan all you want, but that first day, it's something. And it's scary too. Again, what are you going to do with your time? You'll figure it out. But now, the next thing to do is go down and have some breakfast. Enjoy it. Have a banana. It's good for your legs. But figure out what you're going to have and take your time eating it. Enjoy it. It's not like you're scarfing it down to bail out for work again. You've done that too many times. So open up the computer. You can watch some funny videos. You know, there were some big games over the weekend or maybe last night. Watch the recaps of those. Take your time. Look at whatever news thing that you have looking. If it goes to politics, close it. You know, I won't be dealing with politics in my videos going forward. We'll let everybody else battle it out. Let's just keep things light and easy. So you're done with breakfast and you'll get ready for your day. Whether you take a shower or not or so on, your personal hygiene is your business. But if you do have to go somewhere, again, take your time. Let's think about some of the places you might want to go. Going to the food store. You're going to be home by yourself some of those times. Maybe there are lunch things, other things that you want to have in there that you don't usually buy. So take the trip, but don't go to the local one you always go to. Like here in Chicagoland, if you always go to the Jewel down the street, go to 1-2 towns over, 3 towns over. Go to Mariano's, but somewhere else. Take your time. Not only does it fill up the time, but you're looking around here, there, and everywhere and seeing some places maybe you haven't driven before. Again, you've got the time, take it. There's also things like Home Depot. You're going to have to go there too. You always go to that one that's a couple of miles away. Go to one of the other ones, one of the bigger ones or one of the smaller ones that you haven't been to before. You can tick off a number of places that you're going to have to go over time. You don't always have to go to the one right down the street. Take the time and look around. Oh, and on that first day, treat yourself to lunch. It's somewhere you haven't gone before. It doesn't have to be outrageous. By the way, I'm a Chick-fil-A guy, but a Popeyes fried chicken opened up just nearby. I'd never been to Popeyes. I have to say, I like their chicken sandwich. So you never know what hidden gems you're going to find. The next thing to remember, and this is very important, is don't compare yourself to other retired people. and what they do. Don't go there. Maybe Bob travels somewhere every other week. He's always gone. Maybe Jim volunteers so much, it's like a second career. He works more now than he did when he was working. And Sue, she can't have a waking moment that she doesn't fill with something during the day. Okay, maybe that's how they are, but that may be and probably isn't you. So take the time to figure out who you are in that regard, but it doesn't have to be done today. But you don't really have to look and say, I have to be like them. I want to be like them in certain areas is just fine, but don't compare. There's no profit to it. Trust me on this. Now, one thing that didn't occur to me at first, but made itself evident very quickly, is how to keep track of everything. There are little things and big things that come up that you've got to keep track of, that you've got appointments, you've got places to go, things that are happening, things you want to do in the future. Now, I kept track of those through my calendar at work because I was there enough, I'd get the reminders and I'd know. And for my evenings and weekends, I had a foolproof system of taking care of that time frame. I married her. But now, during the day especially, I'm on my own. So there's a few ways to do that. First of all, make lists. You may already be doing that, but it may work for you if not. Just make lists of some of the things that you've got to do, and especially the things that have time frames attached to them. Like, I know there's some hockey equipment that I want to buy, but it doesn't have to be done today. But there's a couple of things on that list that don't get crossed out till I get them. I also say this because of my personal experience, is that I don't remember things just as clearly and completely as I used to. Happens to all of us. Heck, I saw Dune 2 the other day, and I can't remember one scene in it. But if you ask me who did Hot Smoke and Sassafras in 1969, I'll be able to tell you it was Bubble Puppy. So it's amazing that things that your brain hang on to and that don't. So I don't want to miss some things, and so I do make my lists. You also have Outlook on your computer if you have a PC and you've loaded it. So if you're used to using it at work, that can work for you at home. I also use it through my iPhone, the calendar, and I put in reminders for myself and notifications when they're coming up, and the two sync with each other, which I didn't know in the first place, which was a nice little surprise. I put something in one, it'll show up in the other. And that is a nifty way to keep track of things. You make an appointment with your urologist for 6 months from now, put it in there, it'll pop up when it's happening. Make your notification a week in advance, and you'll go, and you don't always have to rely on your wife for that. So between the lists and the Outlook and the phone, I know that Ace Hardware has my weed whacker, but I don't know when I'm getting it back. I know when my haircuts are coming. I know when I play hockey, and I know that I've got to buy certain things and meet certain people up and coming. Find something that works for you if it's not the things I mentioned, because I guarantee you some of the stuff that is important, even if it's writing it down on a calendar, but if it's not written somewhere or entered somewhere, you're going to lose it and miss out on something. And we're all getting just a little bit more forgetful, so help yourself out and put them somewhere. Okay, this one will sound a little unusual, but buy a scale and step on it every day. Now, I'm not a big guy. I go between 160 and 165 for the past 10, 20 years. I didn't fluctuate much at all. And then I retired, and then I had the rotator cuff issue. And all of a sudden, I'm up to 178 in a relatively short time, the most I'd ever weighed in my life. I mean, who knows that number? So I'm coming down. I'm more active now that the therapy on my rotator cuff is gone and I'm able to be more active. But you're probably going to snack more. You just have the time. And so those pita chips look good. And you're not always grabbing celery. So whatever your habits are or they evolve into, get that scale, put it in the bathroom and use it. It'll help you just kind of detect when things are going a little bit in the wrong direction, and you'll be able to do something about it. It's great for your health. Another thing you can do is start a relationship with your local library. Now, I know they have things to read and things to watch there, but they also have, for example, an endless supply of CDs from that library and anything in your local system. And if you want to download the music from those into your iTunes, if that's what you have, you can do that. And that gives you a better library inside your phone than you would have had before. Now, here's a spoiler that may be coming at us. When I got my iPhone 14 just recently, I was talking to the guy because I was having issues with my iTunes loading. He was able to help me and get the songs loaded and in my phone and accessible. But he mentioned that in future versions, there may be an issue with reading any music that was not purchased through Apple.
No.
They wouldn't do that, right?
Now, he said, well, this is kind of like having an 8-track tape, but you've got a cassette player. Well, for you boomers, you know what I'm talking about, but having one medium and another medium player, they just won't go. I think we can clearly say that that will be Apple just trying to get you to buy a bunch of stuff more through iTunes, but be aware of that. Another thing the library has that I didn't know was things you can check out to actually use. Now, for example, one library had a guitar you could get. You ever wanted to try it, just strum through and you don't have a friend that has one? Library has that. They also have things like ring lights. And lavalier microphones that you can check out to see if they work. Did you hear that okay? Anyway, if you're thinking about starting a YouTube channel, that's one way to see if you actually want to do it. So far, so good. But your local library and the local network that the library is in can have a lot of things that you can check out and have sent to your library to pick up. So take a look at that. Also, get on the mailing list for your local library as well as the libraries around you, at least within driving distance, and they'll let you know about any programs they have. For example, I just went to one that talked about cutting the cord. They spent 2 hours telling you, can you get rid of cable and what are your alternatives and how do they work? They have programs like that all the time. They have guest authors. They have things you may really want to hear. So look at your library and see what they can do for you. Okay, so that's a small start into how to jumpstart your retirement. Not too many things, not too much insight. There's a million videos on it. This is just another one, but it'll tell you a few of the things that worked for me. And in the future, I'll be setting out a number of opinion pieces on this as well. Health and fitness will be one thing I'm talking about, especially at our age with things going on.
Wake up every morning, my first thought is, what part of me is not working today?
But it's not going to be a rehash of a lot of things that are on other sites. But for example, talk about your eyes, talk about your teeth, and talk about some of the things we can do just to keep ourselves toned and in shape and not have to go to a gym. I've got what I would call a gym in my basement, but it's on a shoestring. There is no room down there, but I've managed to eke out a little bit of space and things that keep me in shape, especially through the physical therapy on my shoulder. So I'll have some videos on that. I think you'll find them useful. I'm also going to talk about hockey. I'm a goalkeeper in hockey. I'm still playing, and my videos will cover being a, what would you call it, an older goalie, and playing at this age, but also things to keep yourself in shape, things to learn, equipment, how to manage your equipment, loading it, unloading it, things along that line. There's going to be a number of things. You can get all sorts of training videos. This will be, though, a little bit more for the older goalie, but if you're not an older goalie, how to become one someday, because I want you to stick with it. Look forward to those. Oh, and if you're not playing hockey anymore and you used to, why aren't you still playing? If there's physical reasons, I get that. But if you just think you're out of shape, or that you don't have, the shoulders, the knees, anything like that, I play with one guy who's had a complete shoulder replacement. I've had to play with a guy with a knee replacement. A friend of mine has a partial knee replacement, and they say he'll be skating in 6 weeks, believe it or not. But there's a lot of things that you can do, and a lot of hints in terms of where to play and what to look for. So I'll be talking about that. Stay tuned. I'll also be talking about travel. Now, I've been to over 60 countries. I lived in England and then Germany. So there's a lot of countries you can go to without traveling too far. So that's a little like cheating, but that's what I was able to do. Also, when I was younger, and then recently as well, used to go on a cruise now and again. Heck, you can rack up 5 countries just in 1 week. So again, that's like cheating as well. But what I use to count this is the Travelers Century Club. It's a website for folks that travel a lot, and it gives you a nice definition of countries and territories. Now, when you say that, it means, for example, Alaska and Hawaii are not considered part of the US for this purpose because you really have to work to get there. So there's a number of territories that are part of countries, Canary Islands, things like that. But that's an interesting place to look for, number 1, places to go, and number 2, places you've been. So I'll be talking a little bit about travel, where to go, and where I've been. Another thing we'll be talking about is DIY, do it yourself. You're going to be spending a lot of time at home, and there's a lot of things to take care of. Now, this obviously depends on whether you're handy with tools or not. Okay, we're going to have no DIY on this channel. Sorry. And then we'll just have videos about any idea that comes to mind. Beatlefest, I'm a massive Beatles fan, by the way, so for you guys, there'll be plenty there. Sirius radio, shaving with an electric razor, which I never did before, and now I do all the time. We'll explore a little of that, and any ideas you folks may have. So thanks for taking the time to join me on my first video. I sure do appreciate it. If you enjoyed it or enjoyed some of the things that were in there, please do give me a like down below. Also, if some of the ideas that are coming up are of interest to you, please subscribe to the channel. I would appreciate that as well. And if you have any ideas based on what you've heard, especially about people that are retired and you're going through some of the same things I am, feel free to put something down in the comments and I'll make sure I get to them. All right, I've got plenty of time, and so do you. We will talk to you all later. This is that retired guy who's still having fun. See you later.